My lazy coworker demanded I cover his shift again because you don't have kids, so you have no excuse. When I refused, he went straight to our boss and complained, "She's not supporting her colleagues." The manager looked between us as I pulled out the schedule and said, "Then let's see how many of my shifts I've already covered for you." I work at a hospital in Dayton, Ohio. I'm a nurse in the ER, been doing this for about 8 years. I don't have kids. I live alone. I'm not married, and I don't have some big social life. But I work hard. I come in on time, I pick up shifts when I can, and I don't complain when things get rough. And believe me, they get rough a lot. For the last couple years, we've been short-staffed. It's not news to anyone in healthcare right now. Between burnout, resignations, and the newer nurses not sticking around long, it's just the same group of us holding things down shift after shift. I don't mind the work, but what I do mind is when someone takes advantage of that. That's what this story is about. His name's Nate. He's one of the newer nurses. Not brand new. He's been here around 2 years. Has 2 little kids. His wife works part-time, so whenever something happens at home, Nate acts like it's a full-blown emergency. And sure, sometimes it probably is. I get that life with young kids is messy. But at some point, you start to see a pattern. Nate started out friendly. He made a few jokes, tried to be one of the guys, nothing weird. But once he realized I didn't have kids and usually picked up extra hours, he started treating me like a backup generator. Need someone to stay late? Ask her. She doesn't have a family to rush home to. Need to swap a shift? Ask her. She's always free. Can't make it to work because your wife has a headache and you don't trust your toddler near a toilet? Guess who's on deck? It got real bad after the holidays. January was chaos. A lot of nurses had vacation time saved up. I covered 3 of Nate's shifts that month, 2 of them back-to-back, pulling nearly 24-hour stretches. The 3rd time, he just didn't show up for his shift. At 7 p.m., right before I was about to clock out, the charge nurse walked over to me and asked if I could stay. Nate had a family emergency, she said. I later found out that the emergency was his wife going out with her sister, and he didn't have a babysitter. I told myself not to get angry. I told myself to let it go. Then February came. Same crap. Hey, can you work my overnight? Wife's sick again. Can you trade me for Saturday? My kid has a soccer thing. Every time he asked, it felt less like a request and more like he expected it. Like I was just supposed to drop everything because I wasn't a parent. But the part that really hit a nerve, he started throwing that in my face. One time, after I told him I couldn't switch a Saturday shift because I had plans with my brother in Cincinnati, he texted back, "Must be nice not having real responsibilities." Real responsibilities? You mean like keeping people alive in the ER? Like standing for 12 hours straight with no break? Like cleaning up blood, tears, and puke while keeping a cool head? It started to feel personal. Still, I tried to stay professional. I figured if I ignored it, he'd stop. I was wrong. 2 Thursdays ago, I had a night shift scheduled, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., and I was finally looking forward to a day off on Friday. I had a dentist appointment in the morning and plans to catch dinner with 2 of my oldest friends. We hadn't been able to meet up since before the holidays. I was excited. Then, around 11 a.m., my phone buzzed. Nate, hey, can you take my shift tonight? Emily's got the flu and the kids are a mess. I owe you. No explanation. No offer to trade. Just expected me to say yes. I didn't respond right away. I was literally in the dentist chair with tools in my mouth. When I finally texted him back around 12:30, I kept it simple. Sorry, can't tonight. Got stuff going on. Hope she feels better soon. An hour later, I got this. Nate. Wow. Must be nice to have no one depending on you. Some of us have real responsibilities. Thought you were a team player. I stared at my phone and just laughed. I didn't even reply. I wasn't in the mood to argue, and honestly, I knew anything I said would just piss me off more. I showed up for my shift at 3 p.m. on the dot. By 6:30, I got called into Denise's office. She's our nurse manager. Not warm and fuzzy, but she's fair, and she doesn't like drama. She's been doing this for over 20 years. I've always respected her. When I walked in, Nate was already sitting there. His arms were crossed, and he had this smug look on his face, like he was waiting for me to get a slap on the wrist. Denise looked straight at me. Nate's brought something to my attention. He says he's been feeling unsupported on the floor, and that you've been refusing to help him. I blinked. I looked at him, then back at her. He said what? He says he's asked for help with shift coverage several times, and you haven't been willing to accommodate. I looked at Nate. He shrugged like it wasn't personal. I've got kids. I can't just drop everything, he said. I thought we were supposed to look out for each other. I didn't say anything right away. Instead, I reached into my bag, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and handed it to Denise. "What's this?" she asked. "Every shift I've covered for Nate since January, including the ones he bailed on last minute. I've been keeping track because I started to feel like I was being taken advantage of." She unfolded it and started reading. Her eyebrows went up after the third entry. After she finished, she looked up at Nate. "Is this accurate?" He didn't answer. So I spoke. "I don't have kids. That doesn't mean I don't have a life. I've been more than generous with my time. But I said no one time, and instead of accepting it, he came in here to complain about me, that I'm not being supportive." Denise looked like she was done with this conversation. She turned to Nate. "I think that's enough. You two can go." I didn't wait. I walked out first. But in my head, I was done being quiet. I wasn't just going to let it go this time. I had a plan. After that meeting with Denise, Nate kept his distance for a few days. He didn't say anything to me during our shifts, didn't even make eye contact. I figured maybe he got the message. Maybe, finally, he realized he crossed a line. But I was wrong. The following Monday, I came in for my evening shift, and something felt off. People were looking at me differently. Not in a good way. A couple of the nurses I usually chatted with didn't say hi. One even turned away when I walked into the break room. I knew something was up. It didn't take long to find out what. Later that night, another nurse, Monica, pulled me aside near the supply closet. She's one of the few I really trust. "You okay?" she asked. "I think so." "Why?" "Well, Nate's been saying some stuff. Telling people you went to management behind his back. That you're trying to get him fired." I froze. "What?" "Yeah. He said you've got it out for him, and that you've been documenting everything he does so you can get rid of him." I was stunned. All I did was defend myself. I didn't ask for any punishment. I didn't even want to involve Denise in the first place. But now he was out there twisting it, trying to paint me as some snake who couldn't be trusted. I clenched my jaw and thanked her for the heads up. Now I was mad. I started noticing little things. Nurses who used to trust me with patient updates started holding back. People took longer to respond when I called for help during triage. One night, someone even left me out of the rotation for trauma alerts. I found out when I checked the whiteboard, my name had been wiped off the list. It wasn't just uncomfortable. It was dangerous. And it was because of him. So I decided to be thorough. I started documenting everything, not just about Nate, but about every shift. Who was there, who came in late, who missed charting, who left their patients for others to handle. Every missed med, every sloppy report, every time someone handed off a full load to someone else without warning. I wasn't playing anymore. Then came the breaking point. A Thursday night again. We had a multi-car accident come in. 6 patients, 2 critical. I was assigned to one of the critical ones. Nate was supposed to help stabilize the other. Instead, he disappeared. I needed meds fast. I needed help transferring the patient to the trauma bay. I paged twice, no answer. I sent a tech to look for him. He wasn't in the unit. Found out later he was in the break room, eating pizza. On his phone. By the time he strolled back in, the rest of us were soaked in sweat, blood, and adrenaline. The charge nurse lit into him quietly, but you could see it in her eyes. He looked annoyed. Like we had overreacted. I wrote it all down. The next morning, I went to Denise. I didn't go alone. I brought Monica. I brought another nurse, Tyler, who had seen Nate blow off a sepsis case the week before. I showed Denise the incident log I'd been keeping. It was 6 pages long. I didn't say, fire him. I just asked her one question. How many patients have to be put at risk before you do something? Denise looked tired. Like she already knew it was coming. Like she'd been waiting for someone to finally call it out, but she couldn't do anything without the facts. She nodded slowly. I'll handle it, she said. But even then, I didn't trust that it was over. And I was right. Nate wasn't going down quietly. He had one last move. A week passed. No official word. No changes to the schedule. Nate was still on the floor like nothing had happened. If anything, he was acting smug again. Like he'd dodged a bullet. He even started chatting people up more, probably trying to rebuild whatever sympathy he thought he lost. Then, one morning, I walked into the break room and saw a copy of the weekly schedule on the board. My name was gone from 2 shifts I was scheduled for. In their place? Nate. At first I thought maybe there was a trade I forgot about. I double-checked my messages, my emails, nothing. I pulled out the schedule I printed last week and compared it. Those were supposed to be my shifts. I marched straight to Denise's office. She wasn't there. Instead, her assistant, Carla, looked up when I knocked. Hey, do you know if Denise changed the schedule? My shifts got reassigned. She frowned and pulled it up on her screen. After a few clicks, she looked confused. That's strange. It says here you requested those days off. Approved by Nate? I stared at her. Nate doesn't approve PTO. She looked again. Huh, you're right. It says your time off was entered under your employee number, but it's marked approved by proxy and initialed by someone else. I felt the hairs on my neck rise. Can you print that? I asked. She nodded and handed me the page. I took it straight to Denise. She was back by then and reading a patient review report when I knocked. Got a minute? I asked. She waved me in. I handed her the page. Someone faked a PTO request under my ID and signed off on it. She looked at it, and her whole face changed. Who had access to your login? No one, I said. But if someone was watching while I logged in, or if I left my account open once during shift change, she was already shaking her head. This is serious. You think? I snapped. He's playing games with the damn schedule now. This isn't just being lazy. This is sabotage. Denise made a call right then and there. HR got involved within the hour. They pulled system logs, reviewed badge swipes, access history. They promised to follow up. Meanwhile, Nate started acting like he was the victim. At lunch he said loud enough for everyone to hear, some people just can't handle pressure. They go crying to HR over schedule mix-ups. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. 2 days later, it all came crashing down. HR called both of us in. Separately. When it was my turn, they laid it all out. Access logs showed that someone logged into my profile from a computer I wasn't assigned to while I was in a patient room. Video footage showed Nate at that terminal. At the same time, they had the proof. I thought it was over. But Nate wasn't done yet. That same night, I came out to the staff parking lot and found my driver's side mirror smashed. My windshield had a long crack running right down the center. On the ground was a small plastic toy, a kid's action figure. Looked cheap. Looked like something that belonged to a child. I reported it. Security pulled footage. Couldn't see who did it, camera angle was bad. But they confirmed the damage happened during Nate's shift. Only 3 cars had entered the lot during that time. One of them was his. I took a deep breath, staring at the crack in my windshield, and told myself this wasn't just work drama anymore. This was war. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about that plastic toy left near my car. It was so small, so pointless, but it said everything. It said, "I'm not afraid of you. I'll drag my kids into this. I'll make you feel powerless." I went back to work the next day with a knot in my chest. I felt sick. Not just from the anger. This was deeper. I was starting to wonder if it was even worth it. I'd built a career here, put in my blood, sweat, and years. And now? People whispered when I walked by. Some looked at me with pity, others with doubt. And Nate? He still showed up, walking around like nothing happened. He smiled at the same people he trashed me to. He winked at me once in the hallway. I swear to God, I almost swung on him. But I didn't. I waited. I wanted this done right. So I called a lawyer. Not to sue the hospital. Not yet, anyway. Just to find out what my options were. I gave her everything: texts, emails, screenshots, the incident log, the security report, even the paper trail from the PTO scam. She said I had a real case. That if the hospital didn't act soon, they'd be risking way more than bad PR. I gave Denise a quiet heads up. "I've started speaking to legal counsel," I said. "I'm still doing my job. But if this continues, I won't keep quiet anymore." She looked exhausted. She nodded and just said, "Give me until Friday." That Friday, everything changed. It started like any other shift. But around 9:15 a.m., I saw HR walk in with 2 security officers. They went straight to the break room, where Nate was finishing his coffee. I wasn't close enough to hear what was said, but I watched as they escorted him out. No yelling. No fighting. Just a slow, heavy walk. He didn't even grab his things. He never came back. Denise pulled me aside later that day. Her voice was low, but steady. "We confirmed everything," she said. System logs, access records, even personal texts that were shared with us. "It's over." I nodded, feeling numb. But the damage had already been done. In the weeks after Nate left, the air at work changed. People were more careful around me. Some apologized. Monica stayed close, said she was proud of me for not letting it slide. But others? They never looked at me the same again. And that's the part one didn't expect. I won, yeah. But it cost me something. I stopped picking up extra shifts. Stopped eating lunch in the break room. I didn't go out with the others after work anymore. I kept to myself. Quiet. Focused. And maybe that's fair. I'd kept notes on people. I'd turned coworkers into evidence. I'd lit the match and watched it burn down someone's job, even if he deserved it. But there's one thing I don't regret. I never let him silence me. I never let him turn my life into his excuse. He thought I didn't matter because I didn't have a family. What he didn't know. This job was my life. And I protect what's mine.